Hey Toy fans, D21 Beast Rob here, back with another review for you guys here today, and we're once again going boldly where no one has gone before. That's right, I've got another Star Trek review for you guys here today. If you guys remember, I recently did a haul video where I showed off the Borg Micro Series playset, the Innerspace line of toys, from Playmates in the 90s based off of Star Trek. And in that video, I let you guys know on top of the Borg ship I was already going to be looking at, I had a Klingon Bird-of-Prey in the mail. Well, feel free to belt out a hearty kaplach because this ship has finally arrived. As I stated in my previous review, I didn't have any of the Star Trek Innerspace toys when I was a kid, so I'm really excited to check these things out. Now, as you can see here, we do have some familiar packaging with the Star Trek The Next Generation logo towards the top and the Innerspace series logo below that. This box does state that it's the Klingon Bird-of-Prey mini playset. Below that, we do have a blister bubble packaging that does house the Klingon Bird-of-Prey inside, as well as our minifigures. Then off to the right, we do have some additional images of this ship and the minifigures. Flipping this package around, we've got the Star Trek The Next Generation Innerspace series logo in the upper left. Towards the right hand side, we do have some detailed images explaining the play features of this playset, as well as a large infographic for everything included. Then towards the bottom, there's a backstory for this winged warrior, as well as a call out to some of its notable appearances in Star Trek lore. Well, at least as current as 1994 was concerned. Alright, you steel-toed gach lovers, let's get this ship out of the box and see what it's all about. Alright, toy fans, here we have the Klingon Bird-of-Prey out of the packaging, and this ship looks really cool. Now, the actual hull of the ship, of course, is a bit oversized for what the ship's supposed to look like when you actually watch an episode of Star Trek or one of the movies. Usually this area is a bit smaller, and there's more of a neck on this ship. But they had to do that to facilitate the play features that this actual playset comes with, so I'm not actually worried about that too much. If we take a look at the size of this ship, it does measure about 3.5 inches long, and stands about 2¼ inches tall. And while that's a pretty good size for this playset, it's a bit overscaled when you compare it to the Borg Cube playset that we already looked at. In Star Trek lore, a Borg Cube's kind of a massive ship, and a Bird-of-Prey tends to be a pretty tiny ship. And if both of these ships were to have a hostile encounter in space, well, let's just say the end result would be a bit one-sided. Engage the cloak! Size discrepancy aside, this ship has actually got some wonderful detail on the outside of it. We've got painted wings. There's actually some stickers that have been applied to the wings themselves that have some Klingon iconography on them, some lettering. We have actually some disruptors here that have been painted silver. Now that is not actually show or movie accurate, but I imagine that was done so it was more fun for kids to play with this and understand where the weapons were supposed to come from. But we've got some clean silver paint here on the top. No paint for the engine part of the ship, or the thrusters rather. And then the same sort of detail on the other side of the wing. Underneath, we've actually got a pretty cool feature here. The bottom of the hull actually will lift down, and you can actually balance your ship more properly on its wings. That way it looks like it's flying and ready for attack. If you don't actually close that part of the ship, then it does just tend to lean backwards, and it's not nearly as dynamic of a display piece. Also, it's a bit of a nitpick, but usually there's some red paint that's been applied around the nose of the ship, and this little mini playset doesn't actually feature that detail. But hey, what detail it lacks on the outside, it more than makes up for inside. If you want to grab the ship, you can actually pull the tabs here on the bottom, and split the ship open almost like an Easter egg. And inside there is a ton to look at. We have the actual command chair, which will rotate left and right. There's a great view screen here right in front of the chair. You can actually see different elements in space, whether they be nebulas or just wherever the ship is actually headed. Fantastic feature. On the bottom, we've actually got stickers for the grating that's common on the Klingon ships, and even some sculpted detail with the grating there on the front. In the back, we've actually got a couple of Klingons manning their rear stations, which is nice. It's done with a sticker, but still pretty cool to kind of fill out the ship. On the side here, we actually have what appears to be maybe a tactical display. Again, more grating. And then on the other side here, we have actual readout, I guess, of the ship. There's actually a diagram of the ship on the screen, and again, more grating for your characters to stand on. So once you've got the ship open, you've actually got a lot of options for the microfigures that both come with the ship, and ones that you may have from other playsets. The first minifigure that this playset comes with is actually Chancellor Gowron, and he's got a great attention to detail, both with the sculpting and the paintwork. The paint on the face is very clean, both on his facial hair and his actual hair and his eyes. The torso for the figure is sculpted very nicely and the paint's been applied very cleanly. He's got silver gauntlets, he's got a Klingon disruptor in his right hand that's sculpted nicely. He's even got some paint on the actual boots and legs of the figure. As you turn him around on the back, that paint continues all the way around, and again with the sculpted detail, looks pretty phenomenal. Like we saw with the Borg and Picard, he only articulates at the hips, so you can have him seated. He actually fits into the cockpit of the Klingon Bird-of-Prey pretty nicely. You can just put him right here in the captain's chair, and he's ready to start barking orders. The other minifigure this playset comes with is actually Lieutenant Worf. Now he's got some great sculpting detail as well, but the paint is a little bit lacking on this guy. I like that they painted his forehead ridges and have his eyes and facial hair and even his head hair painted, and he's even got gold paint there on the comm badge, but his baldric, his sash that normally goes across his uniform that he's known for wearing, is completely unpainted on this minifigure, which is kind of a drag. Not painted on the front or the back. I really wish they would have done that differently. But he's got some nice hands poised for action, and like we saw with Gowron and the other figures, he does actually articulate at the hips, so you could place him in the command chair, or just have him standing at weapons. Or why not bring in another playset and have Gowron and Worf save Picard from being assimilated? Or perhaps even have the Chadich observe a Klingon diplomatic mission. These mini-sets are so much fun, and they really allow a Trekkie's imagination to run wild. Height-wise, Gowron and Worf do stand right about 1.25 inches tall. And these minifigures are easily dwarfed by their 5-inch figure counterparts, also from Playmates. Storing these minifigures back in the playset is pretty easy. Gowron and Worf both fit pretty comfortably into the center of the bridge, and closing the ceiling above them is an easy task. All that's left to do is fold up that display stand, and this bird of prey is ready to take off. And that's my review, toy fans. This Playmates Star Trek The Next Generation Innerspace Klingon Bird-of-Prey playset is a lot of fun. And as much as I like the Borg Cube playset we've already looked at, I think I like the Bird of Prey even more. Overall, this Klingon ship is much more dynamic to look at and display versus just a cube. And there's a lot more attention to detail on the inside of the ship, especially with all of those stickers they've added. And if you're a Trekkie or a science fiction geek and you've got a little bit of cash to burn, I say you should definitely pick this up. Well, thanks for watching this review, toy fans. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this playset as much as I do, or if you even like that animation that I made, let me know and give this video a big thumbs up. You can always keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast, and I'll see you guys next time.